Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our webinar this afternoon. This webinar is on how to bridge the development gap, and we'll be working alongside Improve to talk us through their product at the same time. Before we get started, I just want to do a few introductions. So I'm Greg Guilford, I'm the CEO of HR Solutions, and today we have Stephen Hill, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Improve Learning. We're also supported by our team Arden, our digital marketing executive, who'll be able to answer any technical questions as we go through the webinar. Just looking at some of the attendees that have come through, a lot of you have been on our webinars previously, but just to remind everybody, you are all on mute. It's just to make the webinar a little bit easier to manage, but obviously we do want to encourage you to ask as many questions as you can as we go through. So those of you who've been on webinars before will be familiar with our chat panel on GoToWebinar, but just a bit of a pointer for anybody who's first time joining us. On the GoToWebinar panel, you will see a little tab there for questions. Just simply put your question in there. We'll either answer it as we go through, but we will have a pause after Stephen's presentation to go through any other questions that have not already been covered through the webinar. We also try to make our webinars as interactive as possible, so we will be running a couple of polls throughout. Quite simply, there'll be something that pops up on your screen and you'll have a choice of answers to just tick, and then we'll read out the results. Okay, so we're going to start with the presentation. So obviously, whilst we are ever hopeful that the coronavirus pandemic is going to come to a natural conclusion at some point, the effect of the pandemic on ways of working will undoubtedly have lasting effects. Most businesses were able to quickly adjust to new ways of working, but one of the casualties of this pandemic has been employee development. And whilst learning and development programs are often seen as important ways in which to support business growth, in the environment of a global health pandemic like the one we're currently experiencing, L&D programs are often among the first to be dropped, as they can be seen as operating costs that can be quickly reduced. Couple this with some organisations not having been able to deliver face-to-face training and not having easy access to online employee development, it is fair to say that the vast majority of employees have had little or no development over the past 12 months. So what I want to do is just kind of gauge your view on that to see if you have provided any staff development over the last 12 months. So the question is, have you provided your employees with access to personal development over the past 12 months? And the options are simply yes and no. So about 60% of you have voted so far. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. Okay, just going to share the results with you. So slightly higher than I was expecting, to be honest. So 82% of you have said that you have provided your employees with personal development over the last 12 months, but 18% of you have said that you haven't. So obviously, technology has played a massive part in this pandemic, with schools and universities already utilising remote learning, moving everything from face-to-face to online, which has been difficult for some. However, technology will continue to play a part in the new normal and how training and development is delivered. We all know that when working from home, technology becomes the heart of every interaction. And for some business already investing in online learning and digital platforms, their training and development programs were somewhat COVID-proof and have been able to continue. However, training and development is much more than a nice to have, and I think we should see the importance of training in the current climate and think about how the time could be used to train for a future that will undoubtedly look very different post-COVID. I think there'll be less face-to-face courses still happening for the foreseeable future, and I think you'll see a lot more online learning being a common part of employee development. And on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Steve, who's going to talk through Improve and how their products can help.
Thanks, Greg. So just share my screen. Hopefully you should be able to see that that screen now, Greg. Is that okay?
That's right, yep.
Perfect, thank you. So just a little bit of a background about Improve as a business before I go into the presentation, the main parts. Background as a business is we've been in learning and development for 20 odd years, where we traditionally ran at our inception a traditional classroom-based training and consultancy business very successfully for many years. And we covered off a huge amount of specialist areas from director level all the way down to frontline employees across all different business sectors and disciplines. Over the last 5 to 6 years, we started to transition into more of a blended learning delivery model, and then more so into the online learning. This has been the way of the market and the way of the world, but also requests from our customers in terms of looking at that blended learning solution for them. We started with an enterprise level solution in terms of an online learning platform and content, which many of our larger customers of over 1,000 to 2,000 employees still use today. It became very, very apparent that within our sweet spot and expertise area of the small to medium-sized business within the UK, where we've worked with thousands of those over the last 20 years, that there wasn't really a solution that had been designed and equipped for smaller to medium-sized businesses. So we went about developing Improve, which has been built from the ground up, specifically with the SME at the core of it. So we've used all of our expertise and knowledge of both learning and development and the SME community to focus on delivering an accessible solution. And that was one of the key things that we wanted to make sure that we brought to the fore. Accessibility in terms of accessibility for front and back end use, but also in terms of pricing and ease of use. So in terms of looking at today, the influences that last year has had on all of us, both professionally and personally, is still being felt. And the landscape, as Greg touched on for training within most businesses, has changed dramatically over the course of the last 12 months and shows little sign really of returning fully to how it used to be. Businesses have been in a state of uncertainty during the pandemic, and during 2020, only 30% of businesses were confident that their current training plans were capable of meeting the needs of the business moving forward. Organisations have needed to regroup and assess their priorities, including what training they were going to roll out to their workforce. And in recent reports, 58% of businesses have reported that the pandemic had affected their training budgets in a negative manner. And while the pandemic has exposed areas of weaknesses for many organisations, it's also opened opportunities to eliminate what isn't or hasn't been producing value for money, with many questioning the return on investment received from traditional methods used within their business. In the climate of uncertainty and budget constraints has led to a backlog of training requirements within many businesses, and this has left a compliance and skills gap time bomb that's waiting to go off within UK SMEs. If businesses don't address this, they're potentially leaving themselves open to compliance issues, as well as not having the appropriately trained and engaged employees to help them recover from the effects of 2020 as we move throughout 2021. But it isn't all doom and gloom. Taking simple steps now can start the process of bridging the gap between where the business currently is and moving it forward in a cost-effective and efficient manner when it comes to training. So what I'd like to do is just have a look at some of the main areas currently affecting our customers, talk through what they're telling us in terms of their pain points and how they're being creative of using different solutions, and also our products Improve and helping them overcome those. So the first area that I'd like to look at is remote working, as one of the really big influences that affected all of us last year to various different extents, and also will continue to do so through 2021. So whether we like it or not, remote working is here to stay in different levels and ways, depending on the business setup that you've currently got into place. And this has brought with it new challenges for a business, especially if this was a new way of working for them. From listening to our customers, they've been telling us that managers are facing a completely different skill set when it comes to managing people remotely. We hear a lot about managers struggling to effectively manage a remote team for the first time. because that constant contact and that FaceTime has been removed. It's been a common sight to see them swing from either micromanaging in a real effort to gain control and feel like they're in control of what's going on, to the opposite way of being far too removed from their direct reports. And first line managers, from our 20 odd years worth of experience of working within the SME community, were already a problem area for many SMEs in terms of their management ability, as it was commonplace to see people promoted without necessarily the training or support structure around them to help make that first step, which is often the hardest step, from just looking after me and worrying about myself to worrying about and looking after other people and resources. The new working norm is increase this exposure of these gaps within the business at a time when we're asking actually people to do more with less. So this skill set and support structures around managers has exposed an awful lot of businesses and will continually hamper their bounce back from the effects of COVID. Employee engagement and burnout are another two areas that are new to the majority of businesses, or indeed been amplified in terms of their effects, as we've all been affected in some way through the increased pressure or stress due to worries about money or personal life, job security, health of loved ones, etc. And the fact that our normal support structures have been cut off or substantially reduced has only increased these effects. And businesses are having to work hard at keeping employees engaged through better and more consistent communication, as well as providing different aspects of support and development for their teams to help productivity levels as well as retention of key employees. This is where we've seen a huge swing to online solutions, such as Zoom, Teams, Slack, or Skype, just to name but a few. And businesses now need to ensure that they have the right technology in place to tackle some of these challenges, as well as the skills, knowledge, and confidence within the business to harness them properly. And that's often a key point that we've seen, that necessarily when these new tools have been rolled out at pace, that the skills and knowledge in the application of these new resources into businesses hasn't been properly supported, hence they're not as effective as they potentially could be. And while instructor-led training, so classroom-based training, is still the preferred delivery method for many learners, virtual learning sessions, e-learning and videos are now ranked in the top 5 preferred methods for all training topics, according to research conducted by the training industry at the back end of last year. And before the pandemic, training was often planned well in advance around rigid business goals and objectives at specific times throughout the year. And during 2020, the need to rapidly upskill employees has been paramount, with the ability to be agile in how, when, and who it's delivered to. Training that focuses on the speed of delivery and the flexibility and collaboration are the future of learning moving forwards. This means, in practical terms, learning needs to be social and on demand, so it be consumed by those that need it, when they need it, and in a timely manner that doesn't disrupt the business. This is in line with how we consume other content in our lives over the last few years, as we've shifted from watching live TV to on-demand services through Sky and other providers and Netflix, etc. So with the flexibility that we've got built into our product improve and the ease of use of the platform, we've seen many of our customers create specific training plans for their managers to help them develop the skills and confidence to manage remotely. And much of the content that we've got preloaded into the platform is aimed at managers in terms of being able to upskill those key areas of people performance, relationship and communication building. And it's based on accredited leadership and management courses that we've run for many years, and really drills down on the practical application of that knowledge back into the workplace. So we don't overly focus on the theoretical approach to leadership and management. It's more around learning practical things that people could go away and apply and do now. Managers we've seen being worked through these particular training plans, which provides an increase in engagement for them and gives them the knowledge and confidence to go and tackle these new pressures and new skills in different ways. And because it's on demand and unlimited, in terms of access to the content. They can consume it and revisit content as and when they need to around any challenges that crop up within their new roles. So we see people going back into the learning time and time again to reinforce that learning. In my start of learning and development career some 20 years ago, I was taught that the correct repetition will create new behaviours, and we see that when people coming back and revisiting key messages and key parts of learning to then go away and apply it within their business. So mental health and engagement has also been a hot topic for many of our customers, and we've seen the most amount of training plans and pathways and additional content from customers created around this subject. So our customers have been creating support programs for their employees during lockdown periods, and also indeed with their employees on furlough to help combat isolation and engagement issues. This has included them adding in links to things like YouTube or other websites for mindfulness, or even links into online yoga sessions that we've seen them pushing out to their employees, just trying to create that community and collaboration while those normal kind of over-the-desk conversations have been removed. And we've also seen staff, employees of our customers giving their children access to things like the IT courses to help them with their homeschooling. So we've seen many anecdotes come back with their children going through and upskilling themselves on how to use PowerPoint or Word because they've got to do certain presentations for school. So in summary, around those areas, it's making sure that the skills gaps that are being created in the management teams, that around the engagement of our employees, that we're trying to make sure that we're combating against isolation, burnout, but also we've got that on-demand consumer approach, so people can draw down the content as and when they need it, rather than having to wait for formal rigid sessions that are booked in. So the next area that I'd like to talk about is adaptability. So adaptability is survival in the current business climate. We've seen thousands of businesses having to change their business model overnight to survive, and keep doing so as things mature and change seems to be every day. Having a great business model to do this is fantastic, but it's your people that are going to make it happen or not. So soft skills are absolutely king at the moment in terms of training, and it's often an area that's been overlooked by many, as it didn't teach a particular technical aspect of a role. And soft skills are now real front and center in terms of giving our employees the skills, knowledge and confidence to delight and retain customers, as well as having the ability to adapt to a quickly changing working environment. So it's having that resilience, which is a word that we've often seen bandied around over the last 12 months or so. This links into customers changing their spending habits and consumer habits during the pandemic as well. Research shows that customers are now being more discerning in terms of who they spend their cash with, and are demanding more from those businesses when they do so. The research shows that throughout 2020, online reviews influenced 95% of customer purchases. So to remain competitive in this new sharper world of customer service, that kind of aspect of our business has never been more so important. And unfortunately, we too often see businesses with employees who haven't been given the right soft skills and training in order to deal with customers in the best way. So looking at how our customers are combating this, we've seen customers using our improved product in many different ways to help them tackle the skills gaps in an agile way for their business. All of our content and indeed the content that they create for themselves and put into the product is generally in bite-sized chunks that are easy to consume and plan for the business and individuals alike. So some of the top ways in which businesses are bridging the skills gap is they've used the system to create personal development plans for employees, so they can add in their own content and courses and assign those to that individual person. This creates that central point for a person to focus on as they work on our areas identified during reviews or one-to-ones or feedback sessions. It also helps managers structure review conversations. It provides tangible actions against deadlines that the employees can focus on completing during a period of time. That's then got the feedback and review loop built into that manager. One of the areas that we've often seen through managers that don't feel that confident in is having those structured coaching conversations. So this gives a real anchor point for them in terms of that approach with their direct line reports. And the feedback from employees from this is that they value this extended support together with the flexibility to learn when and where they want to. And at a time when businesses can't perhaps provide promotions or pay rises to keep their best employees, access to a little development goes a really long way. The other area that has been incredibly popular is creating job-specific development plans, including induction pathways, are popular areas that we see. And it often sounds strange at the moment to talk about induction and recruiting new employees, but job board listings are back to 2019 levels, albeit some sectors are of course being hit hard with redundancies as the furlough scheme starts to wind to an end. But inducting new starts in a remote way is often a new thing for businesses, and we need to find an efficient and engaging way to make sure that we're onboarding new employees into the business to reduce the risk of them exiting very quickly and all the costs that come associated with that. It also can create a structure and creates a consistency of approach in terms of key messages and training that people need to do while it's done online. We often see this access being given to new employees before day one, so it really does extend that induction and onboarding process and creates a great first impression for their new employer. Other common job specific training plans include compliance training linked to the role or the business, and we see many customers using the platform to enable them to pass ISO recertification or other industry specific audit programs where they can build out particular programs and knowledge for their employees to progress through, and they've got the audit trail in terms of who's done what, when, why and how on the back end. Many of our customers also take advantage of being able to create new courses and add in their own content to capture knowledge from key employees. And this is a really key aspect with people that are now often remote working and spread to the four corners, that quick chat and how do I do this has been removed from the workplace. So knowledge retention is an absolutely key part of being able to bridge the skills gap at the moment. So we see process documents, how-to documents being loaded into the platform and structured so people can search for them and access them. We also see not just the formal documentation that's being added to the platform, but simple little things like an employee that's particularly good or an expert at a particular function or task, recording themselves on a mobile phone or another smart device, doing that particular task and uploaded it for others to access and view as part of the platform. So online training that's being provided isn't just about formal courses for people to sit and do. It's about accessing knowledge and best practice from their peers. It's about that collaboration aspect. So one question that we always like to ask our customers is think about the impact on your business that increasing the soft skills of your employees by only 10% would have. It will lead to better conversations with direct reports. It will lead to better conversations with customers and better problem solving, together with the ability to be more robust in the face of constant change as we continue to travel through 2021. We've also seen a huge growth in online training, not just for employees, not just for internal use. The number of businesses that we've been approached by and seen using our online learning platform and structures to help create training content to provide to their customers or supply chain has hugely grown over the last 9 to 12 months. Across the UK, spend by businesses in customer education has increased by over 30% since the start of 2020. They've been providing support and training to their customers in different ways in the past, but now, of course, with the restrictions in place, they need to find a better and more scalable and economical way of providing this to their customers. So we've seen a huge amount of examples where customers of ours have been providing product training, support services, and been digitizing those and placing them online for their customers to access. And they've seen a huge impact in the customers' engagement with their products and services, the amount of errors that they're seeing in the products or services, and then also in turn the amount of support requests that they're seeing come through have been dramatically impacted. The last area that I'd like to touch on is just around keeping it simple. Many businesses have, as Greg said at the outset, have cancelled all training within 2020. It's great to see as a learning professional that so many of you have provided training to your employees over the last 12 months or so. That's really pleasing to see. But the picture out there is that 2020 was quite a bleak area for a lot of structured and traditional learning and development as more pressing matters were on hand. This has meant that in many particular areas of a business or businesses as a whole, there's a real backlog of training that needs to be completed throughout 2021. And the key will be to keep things simple as things unfold throughout 2021. The focus on the real pain points or high risk areas that your business faces and address these in a way that can easily be flexed if it needs to be so. And keeping costs down while doing this during this period is going to be paramount as things can and will change. So much of this training that's been built up as a backlog has been compliance based. And this is vital for businesses to get covered off to protect them from potentially damaging consequences. With the shift to a more remote and online working business model, the increase to online threats has never been greater. The amount of data that's coming through at the moment in terms of increased risk and phishing attacks and cybersecurity threats is absolutely on the rise as people try to capitalize on the fact that not all of the people that work within a business have the skills and knowledge to confidently deal with those. This means that the range of courses and knowledge that's been required by businesses to remain protected has expanded over the last 18 months or so from the traditional health and safety suite that perhaps we have all come to know over the past 10, 20 years or so. And this is where businesses can utilize the cost-saving measures and structures of online learning in terms of providing resources and structures around regular training, which can be automated and made sure that they're done on a consistent platform in a consistent manner so everyone gets the same message in the same way. But also you've got the audit trail of compliance on the back end, again, to show people who's done what, when, why, and how. So standardising can be really effective in terms of an online learning approach, as well as driving down costs of delivering those key areas. With Improve, we've seen many examples of our customers creating business compliance training plans through our playlist functionality, which removes the need to keep on top of things like spreadsheets and Outlook reminders. Using the flexibility that comes with Improve, they've added in their own content and business documents to support generic training content that we've preloaded into the system. It can also be as detailed or as simplistic as they like, from downloading a document to acknowledging that you've read and understood it, for example, to really building out a complex structured and staged online learning program. A great example of this is with our fire safety awareness training course. So this course covers everything you'd expect to see within a course of this nature. But the flexibility of Improve allows our customers to add in their own policies, their own documents, their own additional material, but also change and adapt the questions and the knowledge checks that are at the end of the course as well. So obviously we don't know when your fire alarm's tested or where your fire evacuation point is, or those are internal procedures and policies. So our customers can bespoke that as much as they choose or feel the need to, without the hefty cost of customizing content themselves. In terms of The range of courses that we've got, you can see in front of you there. From our experience of working with, and as I said before, thousands of businesses over the last 20 years or so, we've really tried to offer a huge range and breadth of courses that tackle some of the most common areas and skills gaps that we see across the SME community. They're all really engaging and practical in their application. So as I said before, we don't focus on the academic approach. Of course, we cover off really good and proven models and theories, but it's much more around what behaviors am I going to change, what new am I going to go and do within my job role that's going to make an impact into your business. So it's all done in bite-sized chunks in terms of a micro-learning format. So it's short, sharp bursts that people can pick up and drop whenever they need to around the demands of their life or their job role that's going on at the moment. So in summary, to focus on providing your managers with and employees with on-demand support, they need to address key identified skill gaps in a simple and flexible manner. It is going to be the most successful way to cater for your employees' learning and development demands from an online point of view over the next 6 to 9 months as things mature and progress to hopefully some more of a normal way of working and living. We do think that there will be a reintroduction of face-to-face learning. We're not an online advocate in terms of the death of face-to-face learning in any way, shape or form. We're an advocate of blended learning. So we advise and guide our customers with the support and documentation that we provide about when face-to-face learning does come back, about providing that blended learning solution so you can automate and digitize where you can, and then focus on the remaining budget that you may have on different face-to-face areas that might need that support. So everything has its place, but certainly as we continue to flex and change over the next 6 to 9 months or so, online learning is certainly an attractive solution to solve many of our customers' needs and the SME community's needs. If you'd like any more or further information, I know that Greg will be doing a poll or so towards the end of the session, but we work directly with customers and also through our approved partners, which Greg and the guys at HR Solutions are of course one. So if there's any other information or advice or guidance around that, then please feel free to reach out to those guys as well.
Thanks, Stephen. Very useful. I'm just doing a bit of technology as I switch back to me. So as Stephen was talking, I uploaded a brochure which has a bit more detail of some of those courses that Stephen was talking about. It might be slightly easy to read because obviously we're all on laptops, and also put a link in the chat to some of the examples of the courses that Improve offer as well. So Stephen, there has been a couple of questions that have come through, if you're okay to answer some of them.
Yeah, of course.
So one of them was asking, so for a startup, what do you think should be the focus of an L&D module?
For a startup business?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we always say around the first point of call for any business from an L&D perspective is compliance and regulation. Make sure your business is going to be here tomorrow. So looking at the type of business that you are, just a very, very quick assessment in terms of what you're going to need from a regulation and compliance point of view to make sure you're fulfilling all of your legal requirements to any employees that you have or are going to have in the near future. Once you've then ticked that box off in terms of the regulation and compliance structure, then there's some very simple assessment tools that we've got provided as part of the Improve suite that allow you to just assess some of the key skills within key roles and identify some of the areas that can be addressed with the suite of courses that we've got.
That's great, thank you. And sort of with one of the questions was about skills post-COVID. With your platform, are you seeing a demand for a specific set of courses, or is it a mixture of everything?
Yeah, I mean, a huge mixture of everything. But I suppose the two areas that we're seeing a lot of requests from our customers, because we constantly ask for feedback from the products in terms of functionality that people want to see added into it to enable them to do new and weird and wonderful things on the platform. We see every week our customers doing things with the platform that we didn't necessarily intend it to be able to be used in that manner, but people are being creative and using it how they need to and want to, which is great to see. But also they give us feedback about content that they want to see within the library as well. And the two big areas around engagements to do with mental health and well-being. So we've got a few courses that will be coming out shortly about that, but also an expansion to the health and safety suite. So one of the areas that we're seeing a lot of our customers ask about is that they've realized that they can automate and digitize a lot of the face-to-face health and safety stuff that they were doing before. So we've got courses like RIDDOR and COSH and Managing Safely that will be added into the platform over the next few months as well, to bolster that as people look to cover off their compliance and regulatory areas in the most efficient way, bearing in mind that people are still spread to the four corners in terms of working remotely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I take your point about there will be a place for face-to-face training and delivery, and the blended approach is definitely the way forward, because obviously people learning different ways. I guess face-to-face training is probably still a little bit of a way off in terms of getting lots of people all in one room again. But hopefully it will come back this year. I definitely see that having e-learning as a way to bridge some of that training that hasn't happened, or to upskill where the business has evolved over the last 12 months to do something different. I think everyone tends to use the word pivot, but you might see employees going back to work doing something slightly different, or their role slightly changed, so they might need to learn new skills, and it might be that they have to do more with PowerPoint, or it might be something more technical than that. And definitely from ourselves, using the improved platform to add your own courses to try and address some of those is a great tool as well, to be able to deliver it virtually. Obviously you can still have team calls or Zoom calls, whichever is your preference, but it doesn't detract from the fact that there's a lot of good content that you can put in front of people to raise awareness and help bridge that gap. I particularly liked your example about induction, and it's great to hear people recruiting. We've had some of our clients recruit during this period of time, which is really great to see. But yeah, inducting employees when you're at home working is a challenge, and definitely improve, and having a playlist for them to follow is a great way to help address some of that, help onboard them. And that might be courses about the compliance side, but also uploading courses about the company, or even sort of ways to sort of meet the wider team and know more about the different functions within larger businesses as well. So I think it's definitely a useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And within our own business, as you can imagine, we use it extensively. So, thinking back to when the first lockdown ended and we were able to come back into the work environment, we created a very quick course that we required every single one of our employees to go through before coming back into the workplace. That was our COVID secure course. So we videoed our workspace and videoed all of the processes and procedures that have been put into place to keep people safe and secure. We uploaded our documentation in terms of our policies and guidelines, and we put a knowledge test on the back end of it to make sure that people knew what to do and what they couldn't do in terms of the COVID secure requirements. So that was a very simple thing that we could create within a couple of hours and put on there that was really relevant to our staff. It really made them feel secure, and give them a bit of peace of mind in terms of coming back into the workplace, because some felt a little bit of trepidation about doing that. So it's just a very simple, easy way to use the tools that we've got at hand to create what content that we need to as the world changes.
That's great, thank you. That's all the questions we've got that have come through. We've got a couple more minutes before we close. So if anyone does have any more questions they want to ask them, please do. If not, we're happy to take them offline. before we kind of move on, I've just got another poll to just sort of gauge whether you're interested in taking a free trial of the e-learning platform that we can help facilitate with Improve. So just a very simple poll, and if you answer yes, then a member of the team will follow up and try and set that free trial up for you after the webinar. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. So those of you that said yes, a member of the team will reach out to you after the webinar. And obviously, this webinar is about e-learning and how to bridge the development gap. But obviously, HR Solutions does a variety of different services as well. And I can see from the attendee list there's already a lot of clients on the webinar. But just another simple poll to see if you wanted us to follow up with any other of our services after the webinar as well. So we provide HR services which can be on a retained or ad hoc basis. We can do HR training either virtually or also when we get back to delivering face-to-face. And we can also deliver health and safety retained services as well, where we provide advice and guidance, but also health and safety training. And we also provide payroll services as well. The variety of other services that we offer, but we're only allowed 5 options on the webinar. So if there's anything else you want to talk to us about, then please click other and we'll reach out to you after the webinar. Okay, I'm going to close that poll. So a lot of you have been on our webinars before, but just to remind you, we've been doing quite a few webinars throughout the COVID period and lockdown. You can see we've already delivered a couple this month already, and we've got 3 more coming up. The link to all of our upcoming webinars is at the bottom of that page, and there will be a follow-up email that has that direct link as well that make it easy for you to register. We have IR35, health and safety at work regarding to safeguarding. We also ran a webinar about an SME challenge that was part of our report we did at the end of last year on the challenges SMEs face in 2021. And this one's going to be about marketing and how to secure new business. We also running in March a series of webinars. The first one about absence management, how to deal with mental health absences. Another one about managing cybersecurity, which was another issue raised by our SMEs who took part in our survey. We have a general fire safety webinar as part of our health and safety series. And a very popular course, Data and GDPR, is already got over 200 people registered on that course, and it's not till April, so hopefully we'll get a few more of you on that webinar as well. As I said, we will follow up with a direct link, so you'll be able to sign up without having to Google the courses. So just a bit more about our services. We have retained HR services that provides unlimited access to a HR expert. It can include employment protection cover. We will create bespoke documents and handbooks for you, offer documentation, and also you get access to all of our newsletters and legal updates to keep you compliant as well. We also offer free HR health and safety risk and compliance audits. There'll be a link on the follow-up webinar, sorry, the email after the webinar as well. One of them is about Brexit, GDPR, which is quite a popular topic, a HR risk audit, and then also COVID-19 self-assessment to help you get ready for reopening your offices and premises after the lockdown. One thing we've been helping a lot of our clients over the last 12 months is about resource planning as well. So there are quite a few clients who have pivoted and are recruiting, but obviously there's been the need to use furlough and for some of our clients to sort of restructure during this period of time. We are offering a review of that. If anybody wants to sort of talk to us about that, then please reach out to us. I think a lot of you are already on our newsletter, but if you're not, please do sign up. You'll get direct email directly about upcoming webinars before they kind of hit the webinar presentation deck, so you'll be able to get signed up quickly. And also, once we get back to normal, we will be looking to run our employment law seminars face-to-face at some point. We just don't know when yet. So we'll just keep you up to date with all of our developments and tools that are available to you. If you do have any other questions that haven't been answered through this session, then please do email us at inquiries@hrsolutions-uk.com, and then we'll answer your feedback as soon as possible. You will get an email after the event, like I said, and there will be a link about feedback, so please do provide your comments. It helps us continuously improve. And that just leaves me to say thank you to Stephen and Improve for helping us deliver this webinar today. I hope you all found it useful, and we hope to see you on our next webinar.